Good afternoon, America. This is Derek.
And this is Sagar. Today is Throwback Thursday, where we recount the past 3 decades in American history.
Our main story will be Hitler's rise to power before World War II. Here is a clip of Hitler's command in Germany.
We must close union offices, confiscate their money, and put their leaders in prison. We must reduce workers' salaries and take away their right to strike.
Wow. Hitler forms the Nazi Party in April of 1920. His main goals were that Jews were bad, Germany must follow the Führer, and Germany needed more Lebensraum, or living space.
In 1923, Hitler tries to seize the government. He is captured but only serves 9 months in prison.
During the Depression of 1929, unemployment rose and citizens looked for a new change in the new political system.
In 1932, Hitler gains a lot of popularity. President Hindenburg appoints Hitler as Chancellor of Germany to keep an eye on him.
Here's a clip of Hitler's popularity.
All hail Hitler.
Now let's send it over to Chaz to talk about the atomic bomb.
When Germany finally surrendered, the only country left to defeat was Japan. The United States had proposed surrender negotiations to Japan. Japan refused. The United States needed to decide either to fight another war and risk American lives or utilize the newfound atom bombs that they've created. Rather than risk American lives and materials, Truman agreed to use the atomic bombs against Japan. It put Japan in a position where it had to surrender so that it did not risk more of its own lives. This is what the United States wanted, total surrender. But they had no idea of the effect that the atomic bomb would have on a human and moral level.
Let's talk about some happy times in the 1920s when people across the country would listen to jazz music. Let's take a quick break as we listen to some of this jazz music.
Jazz music originated from the increased migration of African Americans to northern cities.
The Great Migration of this race before and after World War I brought along many of their cultures. One such culture was their jazz music. Harlem became the center of African American culture.
The 1920s became known as the Harlem Renaissance and the Jazz Age around the entire world. Even though they faced many segregation laws, the influx of their culture into Americans' lives brought everyone together.
Do you remember the first time you saw the jazz singer?
Yes, it was great. It was the first talking movie.
During the Great Depression, after the Roaring Twenties, the Dust Bowl occurred. It occurred in the Great Plains from Texas all the way to South Dakota. Farmers in this area had to move because their farms and homes were covered in dust.
Let's take a look at this poor chap whose house was covered with dust.
Oh my gosh. Look at all this dust. Margie, hide the kids. My home. Oh, it's all my teeth. There's so much dirt. My home.
The Dust Bowl occurred because farmers overharvested their crops. This caused all the soil to be very loose. When high winds blew through the barren fields, the dust was picked up by the wind and carried into homes and all over the fields.
Families in these areas had to evacuate their homes. These people were nicknamed Okies. Many of these people moved to California, where they faced discrimination and hate because the Okies were taking their jobs.
At least now farmers are able to return to their homes. Now let's take a commercial break.
Ever want to ride in class through the suburbs of America? Look no further than the 1938 Volkswagen Beetle. It has superb handling and beautiful aesthetics. The cabin has spacious seating for the entire family, as well as a state-of-the-art dashboard interface. All eyes will be glued to your automobile. The 1938 Volkswagen Beetle is your perfect highway companion for all occasions. And of course, this car is flapper approved.
Welcome back. Here with us now is Charles Lindbergh. He was the first pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean back in 1927. So how are you this evening?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
Yeah.
Good to hear. A question on everybody's mind is, why did you want to do that? What made you want to fly over the Atlantic Ocean?
Alright, well, my drive to do this began when Raymond Ortega offered $25,000 for anyone who could fly from New York to Paris non-stop. St. Louis businessmen gave me money so that I could attempt this flight. However, in 1927, on May 20th, I was finally able to fly across the Atlantic on the Spirit of St. Louis. That was the name of my plane. It was an amazing flight.
How did it feel when you finally landed in Paris?
It was such a wonderful experience. After flying for over 33 hours and over 3,600 miles, I was greeted with over 100,000 people who were celebrating this wondrous occasion with me.
Sounds awesome. Now looking back, after World War II is over, obviously, do you still believe that we shouldn't have intervened in the war and that we should stick to ourselves here in America?
Well, see, I am an isolationist. I never really liked the British or the French. I disagreed with Roosevelt when he wanted to join and fight in World War II. The war was never occurred in our hometown until, of course, Pearl Harbor. And I just thought that we'd be safe across the ocean. But looking back after Pearl Harbor and after all these incidences, I could see why Roosevelt wanted to join the war. And I do kind of agree with him.
All right. Well, thank you for this interview. I'm pleasure meeting you. Thank you for that. Charles Lindbergh was such an interesting man. Now take a look at these Americans struggling to stay afloat. The name of their town reflects the bitterness directed at President Hoover. These men are victims to foreclosure and eviction. Now they reside in a Hooverville in Seattle, where their neighbors live in shacks, tents, and boxes. Shivering and suffering and starvation are the norm. Take a look.
Hoover's been ruining our lives.
Look at this place.
Can't even afford heat or food. It's all Hoover's fault.
The Great Depression was affecting every American in their own way. Factory workers were laid off as factories shut down. Those Americans that had jobs feared major wage cuts. Because of these dire times, Americans moved into slums, which are come to be known as Hoovervilles.
To conclude this night's news, let's talk about flappers. So what do you think about flappers?
I think they're pretty great.
Really?
My wife seems very happy. She's working now, cut her hair. You know, I got no complaints about it, personally.
What about you?
I don't know. I've been having to do all the cooking now that my wife seems to take all of my old roles. I just don't agree with it.
See, I see that flappers are good because now women get to enjoy themselves and express themselves in unique ways.
Yeah.
Things are just changing too fast, and I don't like this.
The change is good sometimes. You know, it's like flappers. Girls get to finally be different. They get to do what they want to do.
Yes.
And so what? Now you know how to cook. You're more self-sufficient. Things like that.
Hey, hurry up with that egg. I'm trying to do my work here.
I remember when you used to do the cooking and I would do the work.
Those were different times.
Yesterday I was asking my girlfriend out for a date, and today she's trying to pay for my dinner. I can't. I don't know. This doesn't agree with me.
You can still pay for the dinner.
Yeah.
No, I just can't do this.
I understand
Can't
some of the
do
points
this.
that he's saying. I could see how women are gaining more rights and some men don't feel that they're as strong enough because these women are gaining more rights. Do you see that way?
I can see it, but we're still strong. I mean, women are just doing more things now. They're being more productive members of society. That's always a good thing.
Excuse me if I'm being conservative.
Okay, all right,
Traditional
guys.
views, but
All right, so thank you for tuning into our nightly news. I hope you guys have your own. I hope you guys have your own opinions, and we will see you next night.